Between 2011 and 2018, Supercell had released at least one game every 2 years that has made it to a successful global launch. But in the last 5 years, Supercell hasn't fully released any new games. So, why are they so late? Well, in this video, we will be going over all the games that were supposed to be released after 2018 and what exactly happened to them and why they weren't released. Starting with Rush Wars. In August of 2019, it went into beta in Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. This game was a mix of Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. It was similar to Clash of Clans in that you got to build up your little base and place down the defenses. And it was similar to Clash Royale in that it was like a one-way attacking game where you would deploy troops on one side of the screen and they would go the opposite direction to try and destroy the defenses. The troops were also like the cards in Clash Royale where you level up the cards and progress to get different troops. And overall, this seems like a good concept, but unfortunately it just didn't work out too well. The game got pretty stale after playing it for a bit since it was basically the same thing over again. Maybe it's just because it was in the beta stage, but personally I don't really think the game had enough content to sustain a large player base and keep them playing for years like Clash of Clans does. And I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate from the comments for this, but I think it has the same problem as Clash Royale, where it was basically you doing the same thing over and over again, which is why I personally never really got into Clash Royale. But that game still has a lot more content and other things to do than Rush Wars, so I can still understand why it's so popular. Rush Wars also didn't really last long, and in November of the same year it was shut down just 3 months after its release. The next game was Heyday Pop, which was released as a beta in March of 2020 in only a few countries. This game was basically a mix of Heyday and Candy Crush. It was like Heyday in that you have your land and you can expand it and place things like farms, animals, and other decorations around your land. And these things contributed to the progression of the game as you could earn stars from them, and that helped level you up in the Star River. And this is also where the Candy Crush aspect comes into play. The Star River is the main progression method of the game, and it's basically just Candy Crush, where you have to solve the levels by dragging the blocks so that the colors match up, and you have a certain number of moves you can play per level. This game was pretty simple and would be really fun for people who enjoyed Heyday and Candy Crush, but unfortunately it would end up getting shut down in February of 2021. Almost surviving a full year. The reason they shut it down isn't super clear, but like most of their games, it was either because they couldn't get enough players or they just weren't able to monetize it effectively. The next game was Clash Quest, which was soft launched in April of 2021. This game was a strategy game that used many of the same characters and assets as Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. It was also very similar to Clash Royale in the vertical layout and the whole objective of destroying everything on the other side. The defenses on the other side could be just normal defenses from the Clash games or some other creatures like the big lava golem. It was also similar to a game like chess with the grid patterns that you deploy your troops on, and honestly the game seemed pretty good. You would go from arena to arena by defeating whatever was on there, and along the way you would unlock more troops and other things. I really liked the concept, but what I think eventually led to its downfall was a lack of expandability, since there's only so much new content you can add on a 4x4 grid. Another reason for the downfall could be that the game was a single player, and after a point in time, it does get boring if there isn't any real competition against other players. And this game obviously wasn't supposed to just be a fun, relaxing game like Heyday or Everdale, which we will get into later in the video. Clash Quest was ultimately shut down in September of 2022. The next and most promising game is Clash Mini. In November of 2021, the game was launched as a beta in a couple of countries and has expanded to a couple more since then. And this game also has a lot of similarities from some of the previous games, which is to be expected as it is a part of the Clash world. It is similar to Clash Quest in that you fight on a grid, but in this one, after you place down your troops, you can't change them until the next round, and there are 3 rounds. There are upgrades and stuff you can add, and it is kind of like auto chest if you know what that is. Unlike Clash Quest, this game does have multiplayer and is honestly extremely fun. It definitely has a lot of expandability and a lot more potential than Clash Quest had, and it is still available in beta. And it has been around for 1.5 years, and it is extremely likely that the game is going to be having a full global release soon, which will make it the first game since Brawl Stars to do so. The next game was Everdale, and it was soft launched in August of 2021. This was a pretty chill game where you just farmed and built up your base, very similar to Heyday. It was more of a social game and was meant to just be a relaxing, fun game. The game was mainly single player except for the fact that there were valleys, which is like a clan, and you could be in the same one as your friends, so you could all easily check out each other's villages. There wasn't really much more to the game, but it was still pretty fun. Unfortunately, it ended up getting shut down in October of 2022. I'm not sure why it was shut down since I liked the game, but I guess most of the Supercell's player base didn't. The next game was Boom Beach Frontlines, and it was soft launched in October of 2021. Now, I know this isn't directly a Supercell game since it was created by the sister company, but it obviously is a spin-off of Boom Beach, so I thought I would include it. Frontlines was basically a mix of Brawl Stars and Boom Beach, and personally I thought it was pretty fun. And I'm sure that most people who liked Brawl Stars or Boom Beach probably agree. This game was out for over a year but ended up being shut down in January of 2023 because it didn't have enough players. Their next game is still very early in the development stages, where it was only available for 10 days in February of 2023 for only a select amount of participants in the first beta. And there was a second beta that only lasted 1 week in May of 2023. So we obviously don't have too much information on the game, but we do know that all characters from Supercell games are in this one game. And this game is also very similar looking to Brawl Stars, in which the main characters from the Supercell games are probably the brawlers of this game. And the objective is that you have to build a squad in the game and complete to win and defeat the enemies. The next and newest game is Flood Rush. It was available as a beta for about 2 weeks between May and June of 2023, so it is obviously still very new. Once again, this seems to be similar to a Brawl Stars type game, and this definitely hints at the direction that Supercell is going in. The objective of the game is to collect treasure and battle for control of the islands before it sinks. There are many features that seem like special abilities or just normal throwables like rum bombs, nets, and exploding watermelon. This game also looks really fun, and it'll be interesting to see what the future looks like for it. So, we have looked at all the games that we know of after Brawl Stars, and so far only one of them seems to have a real possibility of surviving and making it to global launch. This game is Clash Mini, and it definitely looks like it deserves to make it. But why has it taken so long, and why were Supercell late with the new game? It's been 5 years since they have had a global release of a game. Well, the answer is that they were probably just trying out a lot of new games, and Clash Mini is the only one that has stuck so far. And another reason could be that Supercell might just be trying to broaden out, and that is why they're making more games similar to Brawl Stars than the Clash games. Regardless, I think everyone just wants Supercell to finally release the game worldwide, as right now all we have gotten is betas in only a few countries. Let me know which games you're most excited for in the future in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.